And welcome back to Subculture After Dark, where we are about to play some new Australian music on the show for you right now. We've got the brand new track from Torizon, and to tell us a little bit about this amazing new track, welcome to the program, Mish.
What is up? Thanks for having me.
No worries at all. Now, Mish, I probably just murdered the name of your band there. Tell us a little bit about how you say the name to start off with.
You said it perfectly. So it's literally Horizon, but with a T instead of an H.
Awesome.
So it's not Horizon. You said it perfectly, man.
So, Mish, this brand new song, Martyr, I've been listening to it all afternoon, and I'm so glad that we can add it to our playlist here at Subculture. Tell us a little bit about this track and where this track has come from.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for listening to it. I appreciate all of the streams. So the track is a bit of I always say it's an emotional one, but all of my songs are emotional ones. They're all from experience. So this particular one is, it's gonna bum some people out. So, I am a perfectly fun person outside of songs. It came out of a therapy session when I was in a relationship that was of a trigger warning, deviant abuse. And I came out of this therapy session, I had found out there had been some infidelity, and I was just trying to process it all. And in that moment, I kind of realized that I don't think this is for me, and I think I need to leave. I finally, the penny dropped that I was being mistreated, and but when you have a history of childhood trauma, as I do with complex PTSD, your brain, though, it fights against that instinct. It's like, no, this is familiar, this is safe. So you're kind of grappling with the reality, but also fighting against your deepest, darkest programming that you've learned. So it was written exactly in that moment and about that specific feeling of handling and navigating those two quite extreme emotions.
You said that the track might bum people out, but for me, it might actually do the opposite. For a lot of people out there, this might be a track that they sit down and listen to, and it's what gets them out of a bad situation as well. Is that something that you thought about when you were recording this track?
100%. And if it helps one person, man, I've done my job. I think in particular, people, domestic violence is still a bit of it's not really a taboo per se, but it is still something that not everybody talks about, particularly because of the shame that comes with it. I'm a pretty strong, independent woman, and for me to even admit that I was in this situation, there was quite a lot of shame in it. So, I think this was my way of kind of giving permission to yourself that there's nothing wrong with you. If you're in the situation, you're not weak, you're not damaged or anything. It's just that this person doesn't value you, and ultimately your psychological safety is more important than staying somewhere where your brain's telling you to stay.
Definitely. When you sat down to write these lyrics out for this track, did you find it cathartic to kind of let it out?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and funny story, I didn't even, these lyrics and this melody were written for a completely different track. I had written this some time ago, and then Luke came up with Martys instrumentation and the early versions of this, which are far worse, as you evolve the song. And I was just mucking around and started singing the melody, and it worked perfectly, so we kept that. But yes, in terms of writing, I tend to write my melody before I write my lyrics, so because I map it out on my keyboard and just get my head around it. But when the lyrics came out, they were quite effortless and they kind of just poured out of me. So yeah, it helps being creative when you're going through stuff, right?
Definitely. And what's it like for you when you first show lyrics like this to Luke and Jordan? Because it's basically letting them read your diary in a sense. What's that moment like for you when you first show them deeply personal lyrics like this?
I have to say a huge thank you to you, because you even mentioned the boys' names, and that's really sweet. Because most people just tend to talk to me, and everybody kind of they don't get as much of a spotlight, so this is really nice. Honestly, we're all best friends. We've all talked about our own stuff, and we've all been through similar stuff, so this, to me, is not really sharing something quite intimate. It's like, hey guys, here's another song about my life.
Yep. So tell us a little bit about the recording process for this one. Like you said, a lot of this track came from another track as well. What was that process like, sitting down to work on this track and then heading into the recording studio?
Yeah, so Luke and I tend to write pretty quickly and quite touching wood, effortlessly. I don't want that to get ruined. So we communicate a lot. All three of us were like on the phone messages every single day. So Luke would come up with a riff, and in this particular instance, that's what happened. He came up with two different styles of riff, and he's like, I want to use these in two separate songs. And then for some reason, I think we were talking about it, and we were like, let's just merge this and see what happens, and it ended up becoming this song. In terms of writing my own stuff, I mean, this was the easiest song I've ever written vocally, because almost everything was already pre-done for the other track vocally, so I just transposed that to this key and this mode that we used, and I just wrote a bridge. So that's all. That was pretty easy for me. Recording-wise, we recorded Damaged and Martyrs, Damaged, our last single, at the same time. So, the boys did their drums, and we used a session drum at the time because we didn't have Jordan. And Luke tracked his bass and his guitar parts. But for me, what I do vocally is I break my day into like two half days, just to maintain my vocal health. And the day I did Damaged, I had the best vocal day ever. And the day I did Martyr, I was just really struggling in terms, I'd missed my medication. I had like these brain zaps, because anti-anxiety medication, if you miss it, it's not great. And I had a chronic pain flare up, and I was just not in the best zone. But, if the studio's booked, you can't really do anything about it. So I just really leaned into that, and I was quite upfront with our producer, Kaylin, from Kaylin Austin Productions. And I just said, I'm not feeling great, but it's probably good because I was able to deliver a really vulnerable performance where I genuinely wasn't feeling great, and in a way it kind of was a trigger for like PTSD. Like I have complex PTSD, but in this particular instance I was almost like afraid to let the vocals become a real thing, because programming and the fear that like, oh my god, you said something, now you're going to be punished. So it was quite not the best headspace for me, but for me as a person, but for me as a musician that day, that cocktail was great. And Kalen was really lovely. Like, he helped me navigate that. I took all my reinforcements, my steam, my nebulizer, my throat coat tea, just in case, and like my straw work exercises, just in case, because I wasn't feeling great. So yeah, there you go.
Awesome. So, Misha, tell us a little bit about what the band have got coming up as well, because, of course, you just played a show with Bridge Left to Burn, and I heard great things about that show. So tell us a little bit about what you've got coming up gig-wise, especially over the summer.
Absolutely. Now, we did play a gig with Bridge Left to Burn. It was so fun. Like, I love being in diverse lineups where there's like a bunch of people from different walks of life, different genres. It's awesome. So our next show, we're going to close this year out with a show in Brisbane. It's free entry too. It's with Frozen Eddie. They have a new single called Reprisal, so they're launching that. And with Illusionary and Cannonballer at Tomcat. That's on 15th of December. We have dropped our tuning since we last played, so this one's going to be extra heavy. We've gone down to drop B, and we have a whole brand new song, as well as a fun cover that nobody has heard. Awesome. Neither of those. Yeah. And then next year we have some shows coming up too. They'll start getting announced very soon, aiming for some interstate shows as well. Like, we love the interstate travel. And our EP, we've finished writing it finally, so it's being recorded next year.
Awesome. We are looking forward to that. I was going to ask you about 2024 because it's getting to that time of the year where we start looking forward to next year. But if you're coming into state, hopefully we get to see you in Melbourne at some stage as well.
Oh, man, I love Melbourne. I'm originally from Victoria, so for me it's like my friends.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, we are going to play Martyr on our show now for the first time. So what would you like to say to everybody out there, not only before they listen to this track, but before they get very excited about your tours for 2024, but what would you like to say to everybody, and how can they follow you on social media?
Awesome. I would say thank you so much. Even if you listen to 3 seconds of a song, we appreciate you. And we are very excited to meet and see everybody all around the country. That's our plan for next year. We're putting things into work so that can take place next year. And just from I'm just a girl from Geelong who ended up making music, and I really appreciate everybody that listens to it. So thank you so much. Where you can follow us is we're everywhere, but Torizon Band. That's Horizon with a T on Facebook, and if you want to jump on there, or Instagram, Torizon Band as well. There's a link tree that will take you everywhere, but you can please stream our music on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you like. We also have some merch on Bandcamp, and we can't wait to see you.